UFC 158 is coming up this weekend. George St. Pierre and Nick Diaz are headlining. We're, of course, fired up, but we want a little different perspective, so we're going to bring in MMA journalist and expert Phoenix Carnevale right here on Unite.
What's up, guys?
What is going on?
It's good to see
good?
you.
No, I was going to give you my seat.
Now, we got to get right into it, okay? I want to know, how did you get involved in the MMA?
Okay, well, I'm pretty much like the Joe Rogan of Muay Thai right now, without the facial hair, the wrinkled shirts, and the weed habit. But
I was going to say, that says a lot.
No, but I'm a fight commentator. I do color and play-by-play, mostly for Muay Thai, and then I started interviewing fighters. And, you know, MMA is the biggest thing out, so I started interviewing a lot of these guys in the UFC. And I love it. What can I say?
I personally think street brawls is the biggest thing out, but whatever. It's
That's when you saw Kimbo Slice get his ass kicked in the octagon.
Yeah,
so
how that worked out, right?
But one thing is, you know, I know a lot of my friends don't really know or understand what MMA is, so they say, "Oh, you do UFC," and I'm like, "No, I don't do UFC. Don't do UFC.
Right.
UFC is a company. MMA is a sport." So. The people out there, we don't do UFC.
Kleenex tissue thing.
Yeah, right.
They've kind of cornered the market.
That's true. That's very true. I mean, you could do like Dana White, like if you're into that type of thing. He's a handsome guy. He looks like a cross between Lex Luthor and a giant baby, but he's awesome. But anyway, so UFC, MMA.
I like it.
Wow. Well, let me ask you about GSP. Like, he's a huge favorite this weekend. What exactly is it that makes him so good?
George St. Pierre is the most well-rounded fighter out there. He was actually one of the first fighters to be really well-rounded, and he's a strategist. So the guy knows what it takes to win against an opponent, and he's the #1 guy because he's #1. It's like the #2 guy is better than like the #1 guy that you know. You know what I mean? So they're the best athletes in the world in the octagon, and the UFC has them. And George is the best out of all of them. He's an athlete.
You know what I like about the fight this weekend is these guys have been talking about a lot of smack. Things got really heated on a conference call this past week.
Yeah.
I want to have a listen.
Oh, absolutely. I want to hear it too.
Back to Nick's comments for a response. Are you pampered?
I hope so. If I had that much money, I'd be pampering myself the up.
Let me tell you something, uneducated fool. I've not always been rich. I start from the bottom. I work very hard to be where I am right now.
That sounds nice, George. Okay, if I wore some tight shorts out there and got a haircut, and I had someone buttering me up halfway through telling me this bullshit, maybe it would have worked out.
I don't understand half of the word that you're saying because your English is... I speak English better than you, man.
No, you're just talking and you're out of line, bro. Straight up. You understand that, right?
Wow, now GSP went Drake on him. He said, I started from the bottom. What do you know?
Now, Phoenix, there obviously is some backstory. So can you fill us in on what's going on with these two?
Like I said, GSP is the #1 guy, and everybody wants that #1 spot. You know what I mean? That's how rap battles
So is that
start.
like typical that two guys would just go at it like this, or is there extra hatred between these two?
Well, it's just that Diaz wanted that spot, so he just started talking and talking and talking. And, you know, George has been bullied as a kid. He doesn't like to be bullied. He's a super respectful sort of martial arts guy, and he's a great competitor. So, okay, so you can be a competitor and you can be a fighter, right? Because, you know, some people are just fighters. George is a fighter, but he's really an athlete. So what Nick wound up doing was making George's competitor side get even stronger because now he wants to beat him. You know what I mean? It's not just fight him. Now he wants to beat him.
But do you think he actually will? Like, what do you see going down this weekend, other than Nick running his mouth, which is what he does best?
Well, I think I'm not going to ever take anything away from Nick Diaz. I mean, he's where he is in the UFC because he is a great fighter as well. But I just think that George is way more well-rounded, and George has a ridiculous team. You know, I mean, George has a ridiculous team, meaning that, like, Faraz Zahabi, John Danaher, Phil Nurse, who's my coach as well, these guys know how to deal with whatever comes at you. So they'll be like, all right, George, look for this or look for that. And I'm sure Cesar Gracie for Nick Diaz is going to do the same thing. But George is just so be like water. He's just so expandable. That's why he's where he is.
Man, it's more Gracies than Wayans out there.
There are more Gracies than Wayans.
Now, as a female in MMA, the biggest name in the sport right now as a female is Ronda Rousey. What do you think about what she's doing? Huge win a couple weeks ago. What do you think about her?
I love Ronda Rousey. I mean, how cool is it to be tough and sexy and beautiful all at the same time? Like, it's the coolest thing. I think she's a great role model for not only female fighters, but for women in general. You know, she's super cool. She does what she wants to do. She fights adversity, you know, left and right. And, you know, heads up to Ronda Rousey. I love her.
Yeah, when she's facing, we got to meet her. We made a wonderful web video together. Make sure you check that out on our YouTube page.
All right, I'll definitely check that out.
Now, she's facing a little bit more adversity because she actually got paid less than some of the men at UFC 157, even though she was headlining. How do you feel about that?
I mean, I don't feel great about it, but I'll tell you what, I think that you know, Dana originally said that women were going to fight in the UFC in the first place, and then he put her there. And, you know, it's not, women aren't just watching UFC anymore to hang out with their boyfriends. They're watching it and they're interested in it. And I threw a party, it was like 45 people at the party, and like 26 of it were women. Right. You know, it was not a sausage fest that night. And it was awesome because, you know, they were all there to basically watch this woman, and I think that the more they realize there's a market for it, that contract will change. If she's smart, that contract will change.
Last night we had a highlight on the show, and we couldn't decide what determines a knockout in this situation. So we got to say there was a double knockout that we played last night. So we need to know from you, what's the determining factor as far as the who wins? It comes about right. Couple more seconds, bam, right there. And they go down almost simultaneously. So in that circumstance, who wins? Is it like Rocky? Is it like whoever can get up first? That might take 5 minutes though, right?
Well, okay, so obviously this is a draw.
Right.
So I think the way we should determine it is, you know, when people get knocked out and they fall, I think who fell stupider should win the fight.
That's pretty good. I would say whose face hit the mat first, maybe.
Like I said.
Yeah, touch the mat first. Like, that's also good.
I like that. Like I said, I think whoever has the most degrees.
most degrees.
You know what? I think we need to see. I think we need to see some demo right now. I think we need to see a double knockout.
Yeah.
Okay,
let's go see a double knockout.
I got a feeling though, it's not going to be Phoenix.
I'm taking my shoes off for this.
It could be one of us two.
I'll knock you out. There's nothing wrong.
All right. So GSP is the guy that everybody's going to be watching this weekend. So tell me some of the moves we might see from you. What's his signature?
Well, I told you GSP is trained by this guy Phil Nurse, and Phil Nurse is a Thai boxer. And one of the signature moves from George St. Pierre is the Superman punch. And everybody loves the Superman punch. It's awesome. You really have to commit to it though. You really have to time it. It's like 9 out of 10 times George will strike with that punch, even though you would think it's huge and you're going to telegraph it.
Everybody knows it's coming too, right? He still gets away
because he's so fast. He's so sharp and he's so fast, and he really knows how to deliver it. So I'm little. He's a taller guy, right?
Yeah, but you can take him, I think.
Like, he definitely has way more reach than me. But I want to, and I'm going to go to your shoulder so that I don't actually punch you in the face. But
I want to punch him in the face. We don't have a problem with that.
Why don't you? This is supposed to be your boy, by the way.
Go ahead.
No, but let's say I'm far away, but I want to get my distance. I'll just use the Superman punch to get there. Okay?
I see how that finishes.
So it closes the distance and it gets there kind of quick.
Right.
You know, so that's a Superman punch, and it also leads to other things, like you can throw a low leg or whatnot. Now, if you take a whole bunch of those to the thigh.
Yeah, they start.
I've seen that.
Dude, the first time I took a low leg in Thai boxing, I was like, I went someplace for a second. I was like, why do I do this? Why don't I like floral decoration? Like, why am I? But so it leads to other things. It's a beautiful setup, and it also helps you close the distance. So I'll teach you guys how to do it.
They start doing the sagging right there.
You can't step off that front leg anymore.
That's GSP's favorite. What is your favorite move?
Oh, I like elbows. I like more John Jones' spinning elbow.
Show me how you do an elbow.
We got this guy here for a reason.
You're better.
You know what I mean?
I wanted to see an elbow to your face, though.
Yeah, I see it. Bam.
That wasn't bad. That was a very John Jones up elbow.
Really?
I didn't see
any kind of athleticism in that move whatsoever.
Man, you wouldn't see it, period. You would be on the ground. Thank you. I appreciate you complimenting me.
That was actually nice. Nice elbow.
Yeah, but low kicks, all that. I'm ready to go.
So you want to learn the Superman punch?
Yeah.
You could do it?
I think I can do it.
Okay, so from this position, turn straight so you can see.
I'll be the judge.
I'll teach you the tricky one first, and then eventually you're going to do it without moving your leg. But bring it up for a second, and now this back leg has to go where this front leg is. Okay, and kick forward. There you go.
Right there.
Okay? There.
Cool.
That's it. That's the simplest way to do it. Just extend out. That's your Superman punch.
That's going to be my new sign-off. So I want to thank you so much, Phoenix Carnevale, MMA expert and journalist, for helping us preview UFC 158.
Good stuff.
Reach to Danny for Unite.
That was dope. That was pretty good.
See me in the E block.